Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. And can you believe the Democrats' squad of A-list celebrities wasn't enough to get Kamala over the line? How did the American public resist the call from these learned souls who are so in touch with the average American and whose moral compass is pure and true and who are never prone to crazy delusions?
It can't be. It cannot be. If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He'll come looking for me. There'll be things that happen that none of us can imagine. That's what happens in that kind of a dictatorship, which is what he says. Let's believe him. Take him at his word.
Even Bill Maher's lefty audience couldn't help but laugh at Robert De Niro there. And I guess Bill Maher's going to lose his show now, isn't he? That's what they were talking about. And in recent days, we even had the ladies of The View not just backing Kamala, but they were picking her Attorney General for her. And of course, they pick the irredeemably awful rhino warhawk, Liz Cheney.
Are you also a lawyer?
Yeah, I am.
So you could conceivably be a great AG if this was... Because, and I say this because your moral core is magnificent. Wow.
You know what's fascinating about this whole thing? We're watching The View, a daytime talk show, try to pick an attorney general on live TV. But here's what everyone's missing. This perfectly shows how disconnected celebrity political takes have become from reality. Like, think about it. When's the last time you sat around with your friends and said, you know who has a magnificent moral core? Liz Cheney. Hell no. This is why regular people are tuning out. They're tired of being talked down to by celebrities who live in a completely different world. And you know what? They should be.
Oh, isn't that adorable? Whoopi Goldberg lecturing us about morals. I've heard it all now. But Kamala had the unique ability to make even once cool celebrities lose all credibility. She made the boss, Bruce Springsteen, sound like this.
Well, I'm just about starving tonight. I'm dying for some action.
She turned Cardi B into the world's lamest, saddest joke.
1 second, guys, 1 second. I need patience over here. Patience, where are you, girl? I need patience over here.
Yikes. I can't believe that didn't convince the masses. And Kamala somehow even managed to turn the once hilariously funny Will Ferrell into this cringy mess.
I'm just one person? No. Shut the up, Gary. Last time, only a few thousand votes kept Trump out of office. And this time, we will hold you personally responsible, Gary.
See, this right here is something we need to talk about. Remember when celebrity endorsements actually meant something? When they felt authentic? Look at what's happening now. You got Bruce Springsteen, the voice of the working class, suddenly sounding like he's reading from a script. You've got Cardi B, who built her whole brand on being real, coming across fake as hell. And Will Ferrell, man, threatening Gary might be the least funny thing he's ever done. This isn't just bad celebrity endorsements. This is a masterclass in how to make your audience stop trusting you.
Don't forget to vote, Gary.
And when the celebrity endorsements weren't working, she had her media propagandists use these shameful tactics.
We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy.
Just crazy stuff. That was MSNBC anchor Joy Reid, and her colleague and fellow Russian conspiracy hoax peddler Rachel Maddow was even issuing threats to Elon Musk's business empire.
The Defense Department and NASA are going to need a new arrangement for all their rockets and for all the multi-billion-dollar contracts Elon Musk's companies have with the U.S. government. The U.S. government is going to have to either, unwind from all of those contracts, or Elon Musk's companies are going to have to unwind from him. This is an untenable reality in national security terms, now that we know what we know about Elon Musk.
That sounds a little fascisty to me. Today, Joy Reid was still delusional and claiming that Kamala had run the perfect campaign.
And so what you've seen in the last couple of weeks, if this is an audition for managing a complex organization like the United States, Kamala Harris has passed the audition flawlessly. This has been, in many ways, a perfect campaign, a brief, and she had barely any time to put it together.
But eventually, reality sank in and Joy Reid was back to doing what she does best, race baiting and making wild claims, this time about Israel wanting to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Nobody wants Donald Trump to be president more than Bibi Netanyahu, who is backed by a far-right coalition that would like to clear-cut Gaza, that would, would truly like to complete ethnic cleansing of Gaza.
Meanwhile, Rachel Maddow was lashing out at the American public, chiding them for not realising just how good the economy is.
The United States economy is the envy of the world. Yeah. The inflation numbers, the economic growth numbers, the fiscal numbers, the U.S. standing in the world numbers are all off the charts positive. Even the freaking stock market, right? All off the charts positive.
There you have it. You're just imagining.
Listen, what Maddow just did there, that's exactly why there's such a massive divide between mainstream media and regular Americans. She's telling people who can barely afford groceries that the economy is off the charts positive because, what? The stock market? The GDP? Come on. You know who else had great GDP numbers? Soviet Russia right before it collapsed. See, this is why our community here keeps growing. We're tired of being gaslit by people who haven't bought their own groceries in 20 years. When they say the economy is great, what they really mean is my economy is great. And that's the real story nobody else is telling.
All that economic hardship. The share market is up. It's all good. Rachel said so. Now let's hear from a Kamala fan who saw a man in a MAGA hat and launched into this diatribe. Should be feeling it today.
He's gonna lose.
Who, Trump?
He's gonna lose.
Good.
He's empowering you racist, all right? But you ain't a black gonna be in the office, and his white is gonna be out. We're taking the trash out, loser. All right, we're in power now.
Have a nice day.
You have a wonderful day on the 5th, okay? You're going to lose.
Okay.
And your leader, your cult leader.
Bye-bye.
You dumb.
And this next Kamala fan also has learnt an important lesson today. Don't get overconfident when you sit in a leftist echo chamber, because when reality hits, it's going to hurt.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win. I mean, not to be, cocky, but I'm optimistic.
Joining me now is Newsweek Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel, Josh Hammer. Josh, you called this election weeks ago. Any surprises in this result?
Rita, what an evening here in the United States. My God. Look, I mean, it's one thing to project what your gut is and what the early data seem to be indicating. It is another thing to see it play out in real time. I'll be honest, this was actually a more thoroughly dominant performance than even myself in my wildest dreams could have possibly imagined. I really did not think that there was a high likelihood. I thought it was possible, not a high likelihood that Donald Trump would actually win outright the national popular vote, becoming the first Republican presidential candidate to do that since George W. Bush back in 2004. Only the second Republican presidential candidate in my lifetime to do that, going back all the way to George H.W. Bush in 1988. A totally dominant performance, outright winning Hispanic men, young black men going to the Republican column for the largest percentage, probably in the recorded history of American polling. Gen Z millennials essentially within the margin of error. It's a statistical toss-up. The women gender gap not nearly as massive as many pollsters feared that it would be. Just a totally dominant performance, and we're still waiting to see exactly how long the coattails are when it comes to some of these contested U.S. Senate seats. We haven't finished putting the pieces of the puzzle together there, but it's looking like Donald Trump is going to have a historically unprecedented opportunity. He's going to have a sizable lead in the U.S. Senate one way or the other. He's going to have control of the U.S. House. He's going to have a Supreme Court majority that's probably going to be affirmed over the next few years. We'll see what retirements happen, but conservatives are in suddenly a very good place when it comes to America. It seems almost too good to be true. My one hope is that not just the Trump administration, but the broader Republican Party, the broader conservative movement, that we not vanquish this opportunity. We have to take advantage of it. This is very much kind of a once every few decades sort of thing. These next 4 years, every single day is going to matter. We have a lot of major issues. We have to stay laser focused, eyes on the prize. Now that this tremendous victory is in the bag.
And well, Trump's assembled a remarkable team, so you would think they will be able to pull it off. You look at the talent he has. We've talked about Elon Musk in the past. He's got Tulsi Gabbard there, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but also the young talent within the Republicans. When you look at the future and future presidential races, J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, the future's looking pretty bright for the Republicans.
Look, I've known JD for years. I consider the guy a friend. As I sit here this morning here in Florida talking with you, Rita, it is completely surreal to me that J.D. Vance is about to be vice president of the United States. I feel like I need to pinch myself. I cannot believe that this is a real thing that is actually happening. I mean, he's 40 years old. The dude has literally been the embodiment of the American dream. But, as great as J.D. Vance's story is, and it is an incredible story, the Donald Trump comeback story, my God. If Hollywood were not as uniformly left-wing as it was, Paramount, Sony, all the major studios would be going to a bidding war right now to get the intellectual property rights to produce this documentary. What an incredible story. Rita, they have done everything to get this guy going at least as far back as the spying on the campaign back in 2016, the FISA, the Russia collusion delusion, the impeachments, the indictments, the assassination attempts. Holy moly. I mean, this is this is true Hollywood-esque stuff. And, I don't think that we have all fully processed it here as the sun starts to rise on the East Coast in the United States. But, as Ronald Reagan once said, it is morning in America again. You're totally right. This was a unique coalition that brought Donald Trump across the finish line, not just the demographic slices, but people like Dana White, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. This is not your grandfather's Republican Party. And I say that in a very, very good way. This is not a stodgy old country club sort of party anymore. This is very much a movement, the MAGA America First movement, that is a movement of pragmatic, concrete, America First, common sense priorities. It is not lost in kind of the think tank sauce, so to speak. They're concerned first and foremost about the tangible concerns of the American people. That is a very promising thing. That, above all, I think is why they have won this election.
Now, Michael Schellenberg, a friend of this program, he's worked with Elon Musk, has revealed a great deal about the censorship complex in America. He's called on the Trump to look into America's intelligence agencies. He wants an investigation as part of Trump's administration. He wrote on X that our intelligence community is rotten to the core and serious investigations are required. He talked about the censorship issue, January 6, the origins of COVID, the lawfare that's been used, and really importantly, Josh, the weaponization of the CIA, the FBI, the DHS. Do you see this as something that Trump's team will be looking at? Trump's been a victim of this himself. And again, this might be a once in a lifetime opportunity to actually do something about this issue.
Yeah, I do think that the administration is going to be very focused on this come day one. Look, there have been 4 years to get the ball rolling when it comes to day one executive orders, day one sort of things that an administration with or without a compliant Congress can actually get across the finish line there. Ever since the twilight days of the first Trump administration, the second half of the year 2020, a lot of people in D.C. have been talking about a somewhat obscure thing called Schedule F, which basically refers to the ability of the president of the United States to invoke executive authority to fire people in the executive branch. Putting on my legal hat, it actually is constitutional law 101 that a president has plenary inherent ability to fire whoever he wants, period, full stop, end of story, in his executive branch. After all, he is the one who wields the quote unquote executive power. People are going to call him a fascist for firing, cleaning in-house at the NSA, in the various other organs of the intelligence community there. But he has that constitutional authority. And I, for one, want those cases to be brought. I want the ACLU to start firing this sort of litigation after Donald Trump does this. Let's get some good Supreme Court precedent on the books, overturn some garbage precedent from 60, 70 years ago that says he can't do this kind of thing, because it is time to clean house. It fundamentally, Rita, above all, is time to actually continue the mission of draining the swamp. And when it comes to the topic of draining the swamp in Washington, there are very few things that have to be cleaned house as thoroughly and completely as the intelligence community here.
Absolutely. And I think Donald Trump has learned from his first time in office. He's going to have better people around him, and the bureaucracy isn't going to be able to frustrate his efforts to clean up the swamp. Before you go, the New York Post is reporting that Donald Trump has seen a 50% increase in his support among Jewish voters in New York. This is compared to the 2020 presidential election. The Jewish community overwhelmingly back the Democrats normally, but the New York Post is saying that Kamala Harris got only 55% of the Jewish vote in New York, compared to President Biden, who got 69% just 4 years ago. Is this a reaction to the squad and how weak the Democrats have been in the face of the anti-Semitism we have seen on the streets of New York and on university campuses?
Yeah, I think that is a large part of it. Look, Israel matters for sure. The overwhelming majority of American Jews correctly view U.S.-Israel relations as very important, both for U.S. foreign policy and for the future of Jewish life in the world. But more to the point, it has to do, I think, yes, with the shocking rise of anti-Semitism here on the home front here in the United States, which the Democratic Party, far from not condemning sufficiently, has actually fanned the flames of that. You've had people like Kamala Harris say that the protesters have a point. Joe Biden, his horrendous snide remarks to the pro-Hamas protesters outside the convention in Chicago. Jewish voters are not stupid. They can hear that and see that with their own ears and their own eyes. And it's about time that Democrats pay some sort of political price. Now, Rita, I still wait patiently for the day that my fellow Jews actually vote majority for a Republican candidate. God willing, that will happen sooner rather than later. I think it actually is going to happen sooner rather than later, by the way, given the demographic shifts here within the Jewish community. But this is a tremendous step in the correct direction. It's been a long time coming, and I, for one, am just very happy to see it. Anecdotally, I had a lot of family members, close friends in the Jewish community who are not typical conservative Republican voters who actually did cross the aisle this time. So I thought it was going to be something along these lines, but it's great to see it actually happen as well. That's for sure.
Look, after watching this whole thing, here's what's actually wild. Rita just showed us everything that's broken in celebrity political takes right now. You've got The View trying to pick cabinet members like they're casting a reality show. You've got A-list celebrities threatening some random dude named Gary. And you've got Rachel Maddow basically telling people their grocery bills don't matter because stocks. Hell yes to Rita for putting this together. Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired of watching celebrities act like their zip code gives them a PhD in politics. I'm tired of watching news anchors gaslight us about the economy from their Manhattan studios. If this video made you think, damn, he's spitting facts, smash that subscribe button, because we're going to keep calling it like we see it. No filter, no BS, just real talk. Drop your thoughts below. Especially if you caught something I missed, let me know in the comments. Peace out.